Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, today we're building this little hover box that slides in from the left hand side there to reveal our text. Nice little effect to have on your site and really easy to do. We've got to write a bit of CSS to do this today, but don't let that put you off. I'll put any CSS I write below this video. Now this has been inspired by a plugin we've been working with lately called Divi Image Hover, which you get 250 of these great hover effects with the plugin. And if anybody wants to use that, it is a great plugin. I'll put the link below this video if you need to check it out. But we're actually building these from scratch today with no plugin, just simply using the features of the Divi theme itself. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. Once enabled, we can start working. Now I've got a section here, blue tab with a row, green tab that's got two columns in it. We're going to be working on the second column here. And the way these work, like most image to text hover effects, is we're using an image in the background of our column here, and we're overlaying a text module on top of it. In our case, I'm using a Blurb module today. So let's get started. I'm going to add a Blurb module. Divi comes as standard with all these modules, plenty enough to build just about any site. If you have WooCommerce installed, you also get another dozen or so for showcasing your products. So I'm going to use a blurb. And I'm just going to add a little extra text here. I've got some lorem ipsum dummy text I'm going to put in there. Fill up the space a little more, as I'm using two columns, it's pretty big. I'll leave the title generic like that. Image and icon, well, I want to use an icon today. So I'm going to flip the icon switch, and I'm going to have our text pulling in from the left hand side. So I'm going to have a right facing arrow for my little icon that I want to use today. Link wise, don't want to link this to anything in particular. If you want to link the title to something, put it in there. If you want to link the module to something, put it in there. If you're linking to your same site, leave it in the same window. If you're linking to an external site or somewhere, I'd open it in a new tab. That way your site stays open. Let's put a little background color in here. I'll use that purple again. And if you just click on it, I'm going to bring the opacity or see-throughness down with this little slider here, so that when we put our image behind there, you can see a bit of the image through, but that's entirely up to you. Okay, let's move on to our design tab. Image and icon. Icon color, I'm going to make mine white. I'm not going to circle it. Now, I'd like to have it on the right hand side, but there's no option to do that, so I'll leave it where it is at the moment on the top, and we'll write a bit of CSS to make it do that. I want to make my icon a lot smaller than that. Something like that. You can fine tune with the little arrows if you need to here. Now the text, I'm going to align mine to the middle. I'm going to make it light in color so we can see it. I don't want any text shadow. You can do title and body separately if you want to. I'll just make this semi-bold, capital, and I'll bring it up a little bit in size. This is the title, as you can see there. I won't change anything else. Spacing wise, I'll give this a little more space, but I'm going to leave that for a moment. I'll put 50 left and right in, so I've got a bit of space to work with my little icon there. So I'm going to go into spacing. I'm going to try 50 left and right. Just put the 50 in, it'll put the pics in there for you. If you hit the chain, it'll do the opposite side. Yeah, that's going to work quite well. And I need to put a bit more on the bottom because I'm going to make mine similar height to the one next door, which is 400. So it looks like I need to add another. So add 50. We can change this in a moment. That won't quite be enough. Okay, now comes the fun part. I'm going to go into my Advanced tab and write a bit of custom CSS. I'm going to go down to the Custom CSS tab. And if we roll down, we've got Blurb Image. Well, that's an icon in our case today. So I want it to be on the right hand side for a start. So I'm going to write float colon right. As you can see, that's plopped it on the right hand side, but it's still not quite far enough to the right for me. So I'm going to drop down and give it margin on the right, colon of -50 pixels. Now, depending on the size of the box you create, you may have to adjust this more or less. Well, that's almost there. Let's try 45. I just want a bit of a gap between it and the side. Yeah, that's going to be pretty much perfect. I think we can adjust it again. Let's put a semicolon on there. Now we need to push it down. So let's give it a margin on top of, say, 100. Colon 100 pixels. Yeah, we'll probably need to push it down a little further than that. We can readjust it in a little while. Let's make that 130. And we'll come back to that when we've got everything else in place. Great. Okay, let's just save this and get our image in the background of our column there. So I'm going to go into the row, the green tab. We're working on our second column here, column number 2. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to put a background image in. Again, we've got color, gradient, image, or video. I want an image. And I'll use the same one as we used before, which was a beach picture, I think. Okay, well, we can see that behind there, but I want to make it 400 pixels tall, similar one to my one next door. So I'll have to add some more padding and things to the Blurb module itself. And I also, to make this effect work, I've got to push this all the way over here, so it's going to spill out of the column, and I don't want to see it when it spills out of the column because it'll overlap the one next door. So let's go to our Advanced tab. We're still in our column settings here. I'm going to go down to Visibility, and here we've got Horizontal and Vertical Overflow. I'm going to set both of these to Hidden. That way when I push it to the left there, we're not going to see it once it comes out of the column area. And while we're in here, I'll change the height. Again, I need to do this in custom CSS. Main element, I'm going to give it a height of 400 pixels. There we go. You can see the image bleeding through there. Semicolon. So we'll save that, and now let's adjust our actual Blurb module itself. Save the main row settings. Let's go back into our blurb. Okay, let's go to my design and let's go down to spacing. I'm going to give it, say, 50 on the top as well. How does that work? That's okay. I want a little bit extra on the bottom, so let's make it 100 on the bottom. If it's too much, it doesn't matter because we won't see it because the overflow is hidden. That's fine. Could actually sort of split that, so let's do 70 and 70. Yeah, that works fine. And it looks like I've got to take my icon up a little bit there. So we'll go back to our Advanced and our Custom CSS. Here's the Blurb image or icon. Let's take that 30 off. Let's put it back to 100. That's fairly central, I think. Like I say, we can always change that. Okay, now let's make the actual magic part happen, the slide. To do that today, I want to go to Design and down to Transform. We have to take a different approach with some of the others that we've used here. And I'm going to use the second one along, transform, translate, which is move basically. I'm going to uncheck the little chain icon there because vertical movement, I don't want it to go up or down. I just want to move it over to the left hand side. So let's use my little slider here and pull it across. Okay, we need a bit more than that. So let's just grab the box and pull it across. I think I went up or down by 8 pixels, something like that. Just set it to where you want it. So your icons sort of equal space each side. Let's get this back down to 0, this one. That's in the middle there. I think that's about right for me. You can fine tune it with these little arrows here if you want to take it left or right any more or less. That's great. But we only want it to be like that when we're not hovering over it. When we hover over it, we want it to be full width. So again, go over the black legending, common to most Divi modules. These icons will appear, hit that arrow, and we'll set our hover state. So non-hover state or desktop state, it's going to be where it is, minus 464 pixels. Hover state, we want it to be 0, back to normal. There we go, just like that. Check that's going to work. There's the hover state. Let's flip it back to desktop. Yeah, we're over there. Fantastic. And the default time it takes to do that is 300 milliseconds, which for me is a bit too fast, but you set yours however you will. So I'm going to go to the Advanced tab, to Transitions. There's our default 300. I'm going to bump mine up to 600, which is 0.6 of a second. You can use the slider or type in the value, fine tune up there. I don't want any delay. I want it to happen as soon as they put their mouse over it. And the speed curve I like to use for these hover effects is ease in, ease out. Do check out these other ones. They're subtly different, and in different situations some will be better than the others, but ease in, ease out is definitely one of my favorites, which I'll put it on today. And we should be good to go. So let's save our changes, save the page changes. And exit the visual builder. And let's go down and see what we've got. When we hover over the image, nothing happens. If we go over to the icon, there we go, 0.6 of a second, it'll pull it all the way over to the right for us. So there you have it. There is how to create a little hover box with an image with icon to text on hover. So I hope you've enjoyed that today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.